Hello students and viewers at home. Online with you is Ofojee Eucharia of Mathematics Department, St. Charles College. Our subject this morning is Mathematics for senior students. The topic is quadratic equation. Specific objectives. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to factorize quadratic expression, 2. Solve quadratic equation. We can still understand that this is the continuation of our last lesson on factorization. We are going to talk on quadratic equation, which will give us the end answer to quadratic expression. And what is quadratic equation? A quadratic equation is an expression of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, in which a, b, and c are numerals or coefficients with highest power of the unknown as 2. So for us to solve any quadratic equation, we must first factorize before solving. But now, you have to listen and remember that in our last topic on factorization, we dealt on when the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown is 1. Let's look at the following examples. Example 1. Solve the equation x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. To solve the equation, we must first of all factorize. And in the factorization of it, we find the factors of plus 15 that will give us minus 8. And that is minus 3 and minus 5. As we saw in our last topic of factorization, we have already opened the two brackets. And in the two brackets, we insert minus 3 and minus 5. And that makes the factorization to be x minus 3 in the first bracket and x minus 5 in the second bracket. To solve, we have to have it as x minus 3 bracket x minus 5 equals 0. Since both of them are equal to 0, we break them into simple equation. And that gives us x minus 3 equals 0. For us to solve it, we have x to be equal to 3. Also, we have x minus 5 equals 0. And when we solve it, x will be equal to 5. And that gives the answer as 3 and 5. Example 2. We have to solve n squared minus 3n minus 10. And that takes us back to finding the factors of minus 10 that will give us minus 3. And that's what we have as minus 5 and plus 2. We then insert it in the two brackets to get it as x minus 5 in the first bracket, x plus 2 in the second bracket equal to 0 to make it an equation so that we solve it. And when we split them into simple equation, we have x minus 5 equals 0 and x now becomes 5. Also in the next bracket, we have x plus 2 equals 0, and so x is equal to minus 2. So the answer for x are 5 and minus 2. In the third example, we are asked to solve 6q squared minus 7q plus 2 equals 0. If you watch this example 3, you see that it has changed. The coefficient of the highest power of the unknown is no more 1. At this particular point, it is 6. And so, before we can find the factors of minus 7, we must first of all multiply the coefficient of q squared and the constant term plus 2. And that is multiplying 6 and minus and plus 2, which will give us plus 12. Then we now go on to find the factors of plus 12. That will give us minus 7. And the factors are minus 4 and minus 3. And that gives us minus 7. You can now see that we cannot insert it in the bracket. We need a replacement method. That is to replace minus 7q with minus 4q and minus 3q. And when we replace them, what we have in the quadratic equation are 4 terms, which we now group it. The first bracket has to be 6q squared minus 4q, the bracket closes, minus the second bracket opens, 3q plus 2 it closes, equal to 0. Then we now go on, because we don't have the highest power of the unknown to be 1 again. So we have to find the factors of individual brackets, as we can see. That when we get to 6q squared minus 4q, the HCF, which is now the factors of 6q squared and 4q, is 2q. And when we bring out 2q, what we have there in the first bracket is 3q minus 2. That bracket closes. We now bring down our minus sign again. The factors of 3q and 2 is 1. And we have in the second bracket 3q minus 2 equal to 0. Remember, we are still solving equation. And when you look at it, it is exactly 3q minus 2 in the first bracket and 3q minus 2 in the second bracket. And thus, two of them are common. And they can be regarded also as the HCF at this particular point. And so, when we bring 3q minus 2 in the first bracket, the remnant is kept in the second bracket, which is 2q minus 1 equal to 0. Then we go on to solve the simple equation, because both of them are equated to 0. So 3q minus 2 is equal to 0. Likewise, 2q minus 1 is also equal to 0. And when we solve 3q minus 2, we have it to be 3q equal to 2. We divide both sides with 3, which gives us q to be 2 over 3. Also, 2q minus 1 is equal to 0. Tq equal 1. When we divide both sides with 2, we have q to be 1 over 2. And so, it gives us the answers as 2 over 3 and 1 over 2. In the fourth example, we asked to solve 5x squared plus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. You can also see that the coefficient of x squared is 5. And so, we multiply 5 and minus 3. That will give us minus 15. Then we go on to find the factors of minus 15 that will automatically give us plus 2. And that is plus 5 and minus 3. Then we use plus 5 and minus 3 to replace plus 2x, because it will still give us plus 2x. And what we have there will be 5x squared minus 3x, bracket in the first, plus, brackets open again, 5x minus 3 equal 0. And so, what we do now is to solve for the factors. The factors of the first bracket is x. And when it's brought out, we have x bracket 5x minus 3. The bracket closes. Plus, the factors of the second bracket is 1. And when we bring it out, it is 5x minus 3. Bracket closes equal to 0. You can now see that they are common. And when we bring them out, we have the factorization as 5x minus 3, brackets in the first, and x plus 1, bracket in the second, equal to 0. Then we also go on to solve for the simple equation. 5x minus 3 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. And so, in the first answer, what we have is x equals 5 over 3, which when we put to brackets to 2 decimal points, we have it to be 6.67. Also, in the next, x plus 1 equals 0, x is equal to 1. So the answers are 1.67 and minus 0. In example 5, we are asked to solve the equation 4x squared minus 6x plus 2. In the solution, you can see that 4 is the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown, which is x squared. And so we cannot go directly to plus 2. Instead, we multiply 4 and 2 to give us plus 8. Then we now find the factors of plus 8. That factors of plus 8 must give us minus 6. So the factors of plus 8 that will give us minus 6 are minus 4 and minus 2. We then use minus 4 and minus 2 to replace minus 6. And that gives us 4x squared minus 4x minus 2x plus 2 equals 0. Now, you remember the group method of factorization in our former topic. We now group 4x squared minus 4x in the first bracket and 2x plus 2 in the second bracket. We then find the factors of the individual brackets. In the first bracket, we have 4x as the common factor. And in the second bracket, we have 2. So, in the brackets, we have 4x in bracket x minus 1 and 2 bracket x minus 1 bracket closes. You can now see that x minus 1, they are common in both brackets, and so we bring them out. Thus, what we have in the first bracket will be 4x minus 2 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. We then solve the individual simple equations. In the first one, 4x is equal to 2. So, x equals 2 over 4, which is 0.5 in decimal. And x minus 1 equals 0 gives x to be equal to 1. So, the answers are 0.5 and 1. In example 6, we are asked to solve 7x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. Since 7 is the coefficient of x squared and not 1, we now multiply 7 and minus 5, which gives us minus 35. Then we now find the factors of minus 35 that will give us plus 2. And the factors are plus 7 and minus 5. We then use it to replace plus 2x. So we have 7x squared plus 7x minus 5x minus 5 equals 0. We then remember the group method of our previous lesson. Then we group the first bracket as 7x squared plus 7x. And in the second bracket, we have 5x minus 5 equals 0 to make it an equation. We then find the factors of the brackets. In the first bracket, the factor is 7x, and the brackets have x plus 1. In the second bracket, the factor is 5, and in the bracket, we have x plus 1, which is equals 0. And so, we have it to be 7x minus 5 in first bracket, and then x plus 1 in the second bracket, which is equal to 0. Then we solve the individual brackets as simple equation. So 7x minus 5 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. And that's, to solve it, 7x equals 5. Therefore, x equals 2 over 7. Also, x equals minus 1. So, these are the answers, 5 over 7 and minus 1. All the values that we got from example 1 to example 6 are called the roots of the quadratic equation. We have now come to the end of the lesson, but I want you to still remember the key points of this topic. First, quadratic equation has to be solved, but you must factorize any quadratic equation before you can solve it. 2, to factorize any expression, you must look for the factor. And so, I want to evaluate you with the following questions. Solve the following equations. 1, 3x squared minus 10x minus 8 equals 0. 2, 6n squared plus 7n plus 2 equals 0. 3, x squared minus 8x minus 2 equals 0. Do the assignments and submit through this WhatsApp contact, teachers contact 07035 365700. We are still on the online of St. Charles College, Onitsha. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.